from my voice, but I have never seen anything like it.
Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Welcome to the show. It is Film Friday, everyone. I'm super excited for this one. This was one of my favorite movies coming out of Oscar season, Jojo Rabbit. It was a very interesting movie to watch. I did a review on it for the University Star. So, let's talk about it for a second. Film Friday, I've been putting out these reviews for the University Star. If you go there right now, you'll see Jojo Rabbit. You'll also see Joker. But I'm waiting for a week because I put these out every Friday, and I don't want to get ahead of myself. So we're going to put the Joker one out next Friday. And I hate putting Jojo Rabbit and Joker in the exact same podcast, even on the same episode. It makes me feel sick. I don't like Joker like that. I didn't like that movie very much at all. So we're talking about Jojo Rabbit, a movie that I enjoyed thoroughly, but you know who enjoyed it more was my mom, who she'd seen a handful of the Oscar-nominated movies. I think she saw Marriage Story, Irishman, and Little Women for sure. She saw Jojo Rabbit. I showed her that movie, and this is the one that made her cry. This is the only movie of those four who I saw real emotion come out of my mother for, which, not saying that she's a cold-hearted woman, but it was just, I cried during Little Women a couple times. Jojo Rabbit, I did not. I thought it was a very lighthearted, very funny movie, but it brought her to tears because she loved it. So that's really cool. And just goes to show you the difference of, impact movies have on different people. So Jojo Rabbit comes out earlier this last year, and I think it came out in November-ish. I did not see it until I got a lot of the Oscar buzz. It was only in a lot of art house film studios or film areas, Alamo Draft Houses, that type of places had them. I saw it online because that's the type of person I am. I found a illegal screening of it and watched it. So the story follows 10-year-old Jojo, who lives in Nazi-occupied Germany towards the end of World War II. So already you're saying to yourself, Andrew, this doesn't seem like a very lighthearted movie. This movie follows a Nazi boy. How do I enjoy it? Well, I'll tell you in a second. So follows him. His imaginary friend is a childlike, kind of goofy Adolf Hitler. His mother is very anti-war. She's very pro-peace. I don't think she is pro-Jewish. I don't think she's very accepting of people. I think that she was more working towards a world where there was just no war. But she does end up hiding a teenage Jewish girl in the attic. So already it's like the original Odd Couple, right? You have a 10-year-old Nazi boy and his 16-ish-year-old Jewish friend living in the attic. Well, she turns him. She's able to kind of change his mind about some of the world. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but she's the person, I think everybody has found that person before in their life where you have a idea of the world. I think you have an idea of certain things, and then you meet somebody who completely transforms the way that you think about things. And that is what this character did to Jojo. The premise of the movie if you have not been keeping up with Jojo Rabbit, if you don't keep up with Taika Waititi's movies, not a big film buff, I'll let you in a little secret. Anytime you put Hitler in any movie, you're going to get people who are not happy with it. I think there's only been a handful of people who've gotten away with that type of stuff. Mel Brooks is one of them, of course. But this type of movie in 2020, when we have actual Nazis walking around the streets of certain cities, this is not the movie that I think a lot of people were looking for. And it was interesting to me because of that, because this isn't a movie that people were looking for, how enjoyable I found it. This movie was unlike The Irishman, unlike Marriage Story, unlike Little Women, in that it actually made me laugh. There's times in Little Women that I laugh. There's scenes in Marriage Story where I thought I got a good chuckle out of it. The fact that they had Baby Yoda, played by Joe Pesci, in The Irishman, made me smirk. But this movie was genuinely funny. Same director who came up with Thor Ragnarok. If you're not a big superhero film buff, Taika Waititi essentially retconned the character of Thor, fixed the character for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and now Thor actually makes sense, and he's an enjoyable character in those films. So the fact that he can make a movie like Jojo Rabbit, just goes to show that A, he's one of the best directors in Hollywood, but B, anything he's touched so far has really turned to gold in the last couple of years, which is cool. It's I think it's really cool anytime we have one of these directors who can, anytime his name is on a project, I can say I'm going to go enjoy this. There's only about 2 or 3 of those guys left in Hollywood. I think Spielberg is one of them, where anytime Spielberg puts his name on a movie, either a production credit or a directing credit, I'm intrigued. I might not go see all those movies, but I am intrigued. The other one, of course, would have to be Scorsese, who the joke is now running. What do you know about classic Scorsese? Well, you go see a couple of those movies and you can kind of decipher it. You can figure it out. But you got guys like Noah Baumbach, Greta Gerwig, and Taika Waititi, who incredible directors. Amazing what they were able to do this Oscar season. And it's a real interesting part of the system that we have. To see him nominated for this movie, which very lighthearted, very enjoyable. The first time I saw it, without knowing that it was going to get an Oscar nomination, before knowing that it was probably going to be one of the better films, just seeing it, I left the theater feeling, or I watched the movie on my laptop, feeling happy. Not something I can say often leaving movies. I saw The Gentleman recently, and we're going to do a podcast movie review on that one in a couple weeks. Hopefully we can get it out in a couple weeks. But I went to see that movie. Didn't really leave feeling super happy. Didn't really feel really uplifted by that movie. But Jojo Rabbit does that. So, and I found the name of the girl living in the attic. Elsa Core is her name. So, played by Thomasin McKenzie. So if you were interested in that. But this movie holds kind of true to one of the kind of narratives, one of the plot lines of the movie, is that his father, Jojo's father, is, quote, fighting on the Italian front. So his friends call him a coward, call his father a coward, saying that he's running away from war. When the war is coming to Germany, when the war is coming to Berlin, the fact that his dad is in Italy, and we don't even know if he actually was in Italy fighting during World War II. But the fact that we have his father not in the picture, and Jojo thinking that he has to be the man of the house for his mother, played by the talented Scarlett Johansson, somebody we're going to get to in a second. I like that type of storyline, where the boy doesn't have a father, so he kind of falls into the system, falls into the trap of rooting for somebody, having an imaginary friend, like Adolf Hitler. Because I think in real life, you have situations like that, where there are young people, young men especially, because that's the only point of view I can tell you, young men especially don't have the father, don't have the role model, don't have the strong male role model, and then they kind of fall into a system, fall into the circle, the spiral of idolizing people who are not the people they need to be idolizing. And I think that is an interesting... That's not really a part of the movie that people are really talking about. I haven't seen a whole lot of articles written about Jojo's father not being in the picture and what that does to him as a 10-year-old boy. But I can only imagine, especially in this age where there's a lot of single parents out there. There's a lot of people that I know that grew up without a father. And the impact that has on their life can't be understated. So with Jojo not having his dad in the picture... it almost was like a critique on how not having a father figure, what that will do to a boy, what that will do to a young man. So, I like that. Let's talk about Scarlett Johansson, though, in this movie, who, she is one of the few actresses, I don't have the list in front of me, but there's only a handful of them, I want to say, who have been nominated for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. And that is what she did in Jojo Rabbit. She got the Best Supporting Actress nomination. And I would be shocked, if not disappointed, if she did not win Best Supporting Actress in this role. I was talking to my mom, who really, like I mentioned earlier, loved this movie, really enjoyed this movie. I was telling her earlier about how I thought Scarlett Johansson, this might be her best role in the last few years. And I know that her most famous role will be now, and probably forever, her role of Black Widow in the superhero movies, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which... I enjoy those movies, but it doesn't really take much of an actress to, I think, portray Black Widow. I think that is more of a looking part than it is an acting part. Now, do I think that, Lord Durham could do it? No. Do I think Meryl Streep could play Black Widow at this point? No. So it does take skill, it does take a craft, it does take talent to play that type of character, but you're not getting really good acting out of Scarlett Johansson. And I think in the age of Twitter where, all outrage is not equal, sometimes people care about things that they probably shouldn't care about, or make a big deal out of things that might not be that big of a deal. Scarlett Johansson has been the butt of a lot of jokes online. And I think that it's ironic because her husband or boyfriend is Colin Jost, who works at SNL. So her being the butt of any joke, I think, is kind of ironic, with her significant other being a comedian. But B, being the butt of jokes when she is a talented actress. And I think that she showed that this Oscar season in her role in Marriage Story, but also in Jojo Rabbit, where she plays Jojo's mother. Now, what made this portrayal so impressive to me was that she played the part of the nurturing mother so well. And I'm not saying that I didn't anticipate that. I'm not saying I didn't expect it from Scarlett Johansson. I'm not saying that is out of character for her. I don't know her personally. But as I watch the interviews, as I listen to the different podcasts that she's been on, as I kind of have kept up with her career as an actress, she never gave off those maternal vibes to me. She always felt too young to play a mother, but too old to play like the longtime girlfriend. Okay, and again, maybe that is me just sitting in a movie theater watching her play Scarlett Johansson or play Black Widow over and over and over again. But I was really impressed by her portrayal of a mother. I think that hopefully, this kickstarts her career as being a leading female in the industry, a leading woman in the industry, and getting to play some more of those diverse roles instead of just playing the really attractive woman on screen. Which, there's something to be said for that, but I do want a little bit more out of her career-wise. So hopefully she gets the nomination for this role. Hopefully she gets not only the nomination, hopefully she wins the award for this role, because I was really impressed. I wrote in my review of this movie, I said that this was one of the only films that was nominated. I think Ford versus Ferrari, I almost called it Fast and Furious. Ford versus Ferrari had some of those, it was one of those movies where I wasn't on the edge of my seat the entire time. I think that is underrated in this Oscar award season. In this award season, I feel like a lot of the movies, you had to be on the edge of your seat the entire time or you were going to miss something. And in this movie, I thought that you didn't have to be on the edge of your seat. I thought you could just enjoy the movie for what it was. And all that said, that I think makes this movie a little bit more special. When you talk about the movies that we, right now, as we're about a week out of the Oscar year, the Oscar season, as we're a year or less than 2 weeks out from the award show, you look at the movies that are the favorites right now. It's 1917, a movie where you're on the edge of your seat the entire time, and Parasite, a movie that's a thriller. So you have to be on your best behavior. You have to be watching every single part of this movie to completely grasp what is happening, to keep up, especially with Parasite, being in a non-English language and having the subtitles. And maybe that helps a little bit more for people to be engaged with this film, Parasite. But for the most part, I think that this award season, you're going to see a lot of the movies. If you haven't seen all these movies yet, you're going to see these movies you're planning to. A lot of these movies, you have to be very focused. With this movie, I've seen it now 3 times, and every time I pick up something new because I can just sit back and enjoy it. I can, on the rewatch, I can kind of say, like, okay, this is a scene that I really like. All right, now I'm going to do the review. I'm going to give you the stars, and I'm going to talk about the most rewatchable scene from this movie. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you're waiting to see it, I'm going to tell you right now, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought this was a great movie. I don't think it's the best picture, but it was one of the more enjoyable movies that I saw this Oscar season. Now, the most rewatchable scene of this movie for me is the scene where the SS troops are coming into Jojo's house while his mother is out. and Elsa has to the woman in the attic has to help him kind of talk the SS out of their house. And it shows that Captain K, who is partially the reason that Jojo has to continue to go to rehab, and is not a good person at this time in the movie. I think that everybody agreed that we were more worried that this character that Sam Rockwell played was going to be the kind of guy that was going to harm Jojo, harm his mother going forward. In this scene, he helps the duo escape the SS by telling the SS, like, oh, no, these guys are fine, and, you know, he gives him the knife and says, watch out. He saves Jojo from the firing squad later in the movie. So I really liked this scene especially, and the scene that made my mom cry, because I know you all are on the edge of your seats waiting for that. What possibly could make a grown woman go to tears during a movie that you've said multiple times, Andrew, is very lighthearted, a very fun movie? The scene where Jojo sees his mother at the gallows. So again, if you listen this far in the podcast, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't give a spoiler alert, but that's the spoiler alert. So the fact that he sees his mother on the gallows, he sees his mother's shoe untied, and he ties the shoe. He just sits and he kind of is with his mom as she is on the gallows with her other people who were breaking Nazi law. That's the scene that really got me personally, but it also got my mother. So that's going to do it for Film Friday. I know I left you on a really down note, but don't have any fear, because if you missed anything this week, if you said, hey, I missed the Grammy reviews, or I didn't know you did Grammy reviews at all, I saw the show and I was really interested in what you thought of it. Well, we have that episode up. We have a lot of other episodes available for you. They're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you get your podcast. They're there. And if they're not, tell me and I'll get them there for you. It's been a really good week. It's been a lot of fun doing all these different shows, breaking down all these different things. This is what I wanted out of the daily podcast. I wanted to be able to put up as much content as possible. And we already have 20-something episodes up. We're going to probably put up around, there's 5 days in a week. I've been putting up about 2 days per day sometimes. Don't expect that going forward. Don't expect getting 10 podcasts out of me a week. But you can expect a lot out of this podcast. And we've been getting really good reviews back. And that's thanks to you guys, because this platform that we're building right now can only be as far and as wide as you guys let it be. So if you send it to different people, if you say, hey, I really like this, I think my cousin would enjoy this too. Hey, I really like this, what Andrew had to say, I'm going to send it to my mom. I'm going to send it to my dad. They really like this too. And it, like I said, it's everywhere. It's on YouTube. You should be able to find it. It's not difficult. We're good to go there. So thank you for making these last 2 weeks so enjoyable. I will talk to you guys tomorrow on Saturday, because we put a prop bet one up talking about the Super Bowl prop bets. But Monday, we're going to come back and do it all again. So thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. It's been a real rough week with the death of Kobe and everything. So this has been very therapeutic, I think, for a lot of people. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed the content we've put out. All right. Peace out. Love you guys.